Hey guys, I hope everyone's doing okay. I'm going to start off talking about how hard it can be to live authentic and to live as who you really want to be and who you really are. It can be so difficult because of society and the scripts that society prescribes to us to live by. It starts in childhood with programming. Most parents program their children in certain ways. Sometimes they outright abandon their children. Sometimes they abuse their children, but otherwise they also program their children to like certain things, to like what they like, to go a certain direction in life, program them to move toward a certain studies in school, to move toward maybe playing certain sports. Maybe the parents program their kids to go to a certain college or place importance on what kind of job they need to get. Maybe the parents place importance on the children to they have to be married, they have to have kids to be somebody in society, they have to have this certain job to be somebody in society, they have to act a certain way as a male or female to be accepted in society. And I think it's a rare instance when I think it's rare when kids aren't programmed that way. I do think there are some parents that let their kids, they guide them, they raise them, but they also let them pick and choose their own way. They raise them in such a way that they're able to pick their own path and develop into their own identity and their authentic self. But this is rare. Usually what happens is you're programmed, and I think there's a lot of parents out there that don't realize their kids don't. There are some kids that like what their parents lead them towards, but I would say more than not, kids fake liking certain things because, they don't want to get abandoned. They don't want to be unloved. They don't want to be ostracized. They don't want to be, if they're siblings, they don't want to be the black sheep. They don't want to feel unloved, bullied, or go through any types of emotional or physical abuse. So kids oftentimes go along with the program to survive and to be loved and to be accepted, and they'll grow up that way. So then you grow up, you get into your teen years, and you've already been programmed to be accepted by certain people and to be a people pleaser and to do things to please your parents and to do things to please other people so you can get into certain friend groups and certain social circles. So then you're a young adult and you end up taking a job because that's what your parents wanted, that's what other people find acceptable. Everything's a rat race and everybody's competing and everybody is worried about their social status. And these are a lot of the things that society prescribes and people fall into. And it starts from the time you're born. Usually the parents are programming you throughout. So with that being said, so many people are not living authentic. And most people in this world will never understand that, or they'll have an understanding deep inside, but they won't ever do anything to break through to actually do what they would really want to do in life, or be who they really want to be in life. They're not going to break through to follow through what their soul feels and their heart feels, because the heart and the mind are two different things. The mind is very analytical. The mind wants everything to be logical and it wants everything to be cut and dry. It's always analyzing and always looking for solutions, but not to say the mind doesn't come up with decent solutions, but sometimes it would be better to follow the heart, which is where the intuition is. And that's where your intuitive knowing is. Like when people say they have a gut feeling about something, sometimes the mind's giving you an analytical reason to do something, but then you get that gut feeling, which is really the intuitive feeling coming from your heart, your soul. The heart doesn't think like the mind, but it has the feeling, and it's connected to your authentic self, and it's connected to your deepest rooted feelings into who you really are as a soul. It's connected to your deepest desires, to what you would really like. And it's really hard to break free of that, because if you get into adulthood, which most of us do, being raised in this way, programmed, and following all these scripts, and let's say you do awaken to this fact and you want to change it, even if you awaken to it, it's extremely difficult to change, because you start losing people. When you start to change and people see it, depending on what it is, can depend on how harsh people are with you. You start to change your beliefs that you've had because you were pleasing your parents or pleasing friends or pleasing whoever. You start to change that to who you really are, to what you feel in your heart. All of a sudden, you could lose family, you could lose friends, you could lose job, whatever. Like, for instance, with me, with gender dysphoria, it's quite a journey, and it still is. I'm still dealing with things all the time. I'm always trying to expand myself, but it's been very difficult. And like, I don't even talk to my stepdad now. I haven't talked to him since last August. So in several months. It's not directly because of the gender dysphoria, though I do feel like deep down inside of him, he was homophobic when he came into my life at 12 years old, and voiced it a lot and made a lot of jokes about gay people and trans people and those communities. So I really think, even though he acted like he accepted me, I think deep down it probably really gets to him. But the reason why we're not talking is still because of some of the stuff I'm talking about. It's because I don't agree with him on work philosophy. I don't agree with him on politics. I don't agree with him on a lot of things that, when I was being raised, I would act like I agreed with a lot of that stuff, so I could be loved, so I could fit in, so I wouldn't be ostracized. Now, my mother's taken a different approach. We don't agree on certain things, but we still connect, and she loves me, and I know that, and we talk. We do talk, and we just have that bond, I think, because we're blood. And yeah, there's been a lot of ups and downs with me and her throughout the years, but there's that bond, that blood bond, and she's still there for me, and I'm there for her. But there's that. In my situation, I've lost friends. I lost a friend of over 20 years who was really homophobic. I've spoke of it before. I knew I could never be myself around him. Plus, he had a lot of the similar belief systems as my stepdad, with everything else in society, with how a man should act and do, and what, there's all these tropes. The only way I could stay friends with him is to follow all these things, which I did. I would act certain ways to be friends with him, people please, and I would act different ways for other friends to people please with them. And I used to think I was alone in this, but I'm not, actually. This is what a lot of society's doing every day. They're adapting to different friend groups and school or work or wherever they're at. They adapt oftentimes to fit into the social circles, so they're not kicked out or ostracized or bullied or whatever else, because they don't want to lose the job or lose a friend or lose a family member. So I've lost friends. I lost him. I've lost, well, gosh, there's just about everybody I've known is gone. And I've had a couple of people come into my life here and there in the last couple of years, but they don't stay around either because of the same issues. I find out that they're also programmed in some way, because as soon as I say something they don't like, or as soon as we don't agree on something, or I'm not doing that people pleasing role, I feel like they leave. I've had this happen to me multiple times in my life where I was abandoned by by friends who I thought would always be there, and it can be very, very hurtful, because people tell you stuff, right? They'll tell you they love you, or they'll tell you they're your best friend, or they're good friends, they're always there. They'll tell you they're always going to have your back, that any number of things to make you feel secure in thinking they won't ever up and leave. But then they do. They'll ghost you, or one day you just don't ever hear from them again, and you have to wonder why. And now I do think it's okay to ghost people that you're acquaintances with. Like, say you have a coworker that has your phone number, or somebody that barely knows you, and then they just suddenly start texting and calling you all the time like you are best friends, but you're not. Yeah, you should probably block that person. Things like that. But when you're like really close to somebody, say talking to them a lot, or you exchange a lot of personal information with them, you're always sharing things, whatever, that's a whole different thing. And then that's a friendship or a relationship, if you're in a relationship with somebody this applies to, and then they suddenly just disappear or stop calling or go away and there's no explanation. That's very hurtful. And if that's happened to you multiple times, as it has to many of us, it causes trauma. It takes a toll on you. And for me, this had happened to me all through my life. So I had codependency issues, really bad. I don't have them near as bad now, because over the last 6 years, since I've awakened to a lot of this stuff, I've worked on so many things, but it still hurts, man. It still hurts. I've had these situations still happen, and it's just, what I will say is it just refines my resolve. It just makes me understand, man, I'm not looking at red flags with people. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. There's always things I can improve on. But it's just funny to me, because people, as soon as you say one thing, especially if you're a public figure, like you get on YouTube like I'm doing, you can't people please. You would never have a platform. I mean, I figure that I probably say things on here that people don't like, so it's hard for me to be friends with anybody because of the way I own my authenticity now, and how transparent I am. And it is hard to have friends when you are really transparent and honest about things, and honest with yourself, and you're honest with other people about how you feel, regardless of how they feel about something. You still state your beliefs. You own yourself without trying to people please them. A lot of people walk away from you. That's what I found. But what I would say to you is, you're better off for letting them walk away. And it's not hateful. It's not wishing them bad or anything. We're all on our own journey. We're all flawed. But it's just saying that when one door closes, a new door opens. So every time somebody like that walks away from you and does things like that, it's just let the door shut. Look at what you missed red flag wise with the person, and also look at yourself again. Always look back within yourself too, of what you can do better. And another door will open, and hopefully it'll be a better friendship that will come along, and it should be. You keep shutting those doors to the ones that are doing the ghosting and the abusing and the manipulations and all of that, and you keep learning from it and keep being authentic, that door will shut. And when that door shuts, there's enough energy, because we only have so much energy anyway. So you're leaving enough energy for a better opportunity to arise. And that's with everything. Energy is everything. You only have so much of it to go around. So as hard as that's been on me, that's how I look at it now. It's how I see it, is that the right friends at the right time will show up in my life. And it also lets me look at, like I say, red flags more with people, of what's going to, if that friendship's going to work, or a possible relationship's going to work in my life, which I'm not looking for. But you apply it to relationships, jobs, family too. So that's what I was going to say about abandonment and about authenticity, how those two relate. And it relates to gender dysphoria too, because so many people are not going to understand if you're gender dysphoric, or if you decide to transition. A lot of people are going to not be there for you, but you will have people later on that will be there for you. So anyway, I ended my therapy. I had spoke before. I've spoke many times about how long I was going to therapy. I ended it because, again, I feel like the door shut on this particular place. Not on therapy in general. I'm still looking at possibilities of getting into some other form of therapy. But this particular place I had been going for so long, it just changed. The energy changed, and that will happen in your life too. When you're living authentic, you'll be more intuitive, and that goes back to the heart, not the mind. It goes to the heart to say, hey, something isn't right here. The mind may, like in this situation, my mind kept telling me, oh, you should just keep going there regardless. But my heart was telling me, hey, they're kind of mistreating you now. They're talking down to you. The therapist doesn't even seem interested in you. The psychologist before that didn't take much interest. And yeah, so when I look back on it now, the only real good that came from that, well, it's a learning experience, but also the only real progress there was the first psychologist, Sabine, and that year I had with her was totally worth being there. And the time, the social worker that used to be there too, she's not there any longer. It seems like they're gutting a lot of this stuff too. Just the whole energy has changed around it. And I'm not sure if it's because, I can't say it's because I'm gender dysphoric. As far as I know, they still have trans patients from back before Trump came into office. But it does seem like the climate, the political climate has affected, because I live in Tennessee, it does seem like it has affected things and the energy. So anyway, I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to shut that door. I'm going to follow my heart. I'm going to take what I learned from Sabine and take all the knowledge I gained from everything else. I studied the metaphysical. I connect to source energy. I've spoke about that often, and reincarnation. So I meditate. I listen to audiobooks now. I listen to one called No Bad Parts that talks about working with your internal self to help solve trauma. And now I'm listening to Reality Transurfing, which is helping a whole lot. There's so much knowledge in that. If you're into this sort of stuff, No Bad Parts was decent, but Reality Transurfing will blow your mind if you're into this sort of stuff. If you're into learning more about how energy works and timelines work, and how uh, our heart, mind, and soul work, and it helps a lot with authenticity. It will help you a lot with developing authenticity. I'm only about 30% into that audiobook. It's a long, very long, but very, very interesting. And I feel like I've stumbled across a diamond with that book. So anyway, thought I'd throw that out there for any of you all that are wanting more help. So yeah, but when therapy, when I decided not to go back there too, that hurt. It did hurt because there's this, we get attachment, and if we get too attached to certain things, and that's something else I'm learning. You don't want to put too much importance or too much attachment on things, because life changes and energy shifts and energy changes. So you don't really want to put, there's a lot of things we shouldn't put too much importance on. Anyway, I had an interesting experience today and the day before. I've talked about past life regression before, and I've talked about how I saw what I feel like is my recent past life, where I was really traumatized as a woman. I've spoke of that before, but I've spoke of, I believe I've been a woman more times than not in past lives. But this is another regression I had, and this one was quite different. And it's come through just getting in touch with my heart more and soul more, listening to things in reality, transurfing. So I've been getting in touch with this sort of thing more. And I've always had a fascination with wolves. And when you have regression, it can come to you in different ways. It's not always like you're going to just see a movie of your past life or see a whole vision of what your past lives were necessarily, but you can get emotional resonance and feeling in images. And that's kind of how it's been for me. There was another regression I'd had a long time ago where I saw myself, I thought I was either an Indian woman, didn't know what tribe, or is either that or I was living in a more ancient time. Well, this regression came up again, and I saw this again, but this time wolves were involved, and it was like she or this tribe was tied in, well, with nature as they would be, but with wolves in particular. And it was like wolves were really close to me in what I saw. And I was like, wow, and it hit me. You'll know there's something to these sorts of things because you feel it so strongly in your heart center, your third eye. You'll feel that resonance in your soul to such a strong emotional point. That's how you know. You can't prove this to people. Like a lot of metaphysical phenomena, you can't prove to people. They have to experience it for themselves. And again, this is something else that a lot of society is programmed to ignore, or programmed to try to poo-poo on or whatever, even though some people experience it and still try to block it out. But it's just like people blocking out gender dysphoria, or blocking, when a man blocks out, like I did for years, blocks out thoughts I've had of other men, or blocks out thoughts of feeling feminine, and then they go and act hypermasculine to cover up for that. Same thing with people having a metaphysical experience or a paranormal experience. They know what happened to them, but then they block it out as well because they feel stupid telling people, or they don't want to deal with people giving them crap over it. But this again goes with living authentic to what you know and what you've experienced and what you've studied and what you've felt and have dealt with. And this was an instance where the way this is coming across to me is that whether that was an Indian tribe or more ancient time I lived in as this woman, we had a close tie, and I had a close tie with wolves. And now, how this is appearing to me, well, in this lifetime, of course, I have this fascination with them, which I never understood why, really. I really never had a full understanding why. What I felt today was it's like a protector now, like a branch. The best way I can describe it is it's like some people would say a spirit animal. You could look at it that way, a protector, like a guide, spirit animal. And the way I would see that is a branching off of source as a protector for me, because a lot of people talk about spirit guides, and it touched me so strong in the heart because I felt the wolf is a masculine protector for my feminine heart. It's how it come across to me. It's like protecting me. Its masculinity is watching over me, and it made me feel so good and so emotional. It just burst energy through my body, which I've talked about before. I can have these bodily explosions, which not everybody has because they don't know how to tap into that. And I've been able to do this for a long time, but when I really tap into my soul and heart, that is a feeling I can't explain to you, except it's euphoric. It's the most euphoric thing I've ever felt in my life when that happens, and that's why I know what I'm feeling is true. But see, that's where you have to ignore the mind. The mind would not understand something like that. It would try to analyze it and come up with something for it, but it can't. That's something only the heart and the soul knows. And to have those euphoric explosions through your body is something that's developed and that comes to you through connecting to the source energy. It's just not something that somebody, just anybody out there in society that's asleep basically to all of this stuff or ignores all of this stuff would be able to do. So that's another crazy experience I've had. But as far as my gender dysphoria that I deal with, I just take from everything I learned in therapy with Sabine. I take from, I'm part of a group called Cycle Breakers I've spoke of before. I've actually been delving more into that lately. And I have had a friend on there actually, somebody write me, DM me on there here lately more often, that lives overseas. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. And I've just been putting more of my time into Cycle Breakers because on there's about 300 of us, and that group is for this type of stuff I'm talking about, living our authentic selves, being who we really are, resolving trauma, helping our nervous systems regulate, which is very important as well, for dealing with things like I was talking about earlier, abandonment issues, dealing with having authentic friendships that are safe with people that understand, and they understand you and you understand them. And doesn't mean you don't have disagreements, but you're not going to up and ghost each other after you've been close friends or something, or been in a relationship. You're not just going to up and you get triggered and you just hurt the person for no reason. You're not, this group that group I belong to is very helpful. We all can chat back and forth on there, and it's the only place right now where I have anybody that I completely can relate to, because like I say, in regular society, for people that are living an authentic life and really striving to keep that going, you're not going to come by meaningful, safe friendships and relationships easy. Um, it's going to be a challenge. But when you do find that meaningful friend, you do find that meaningful relationship, you do have a family member or family members that maybe they do understand, it's worth it. It's worth you being authentic. With gender dysphoria, I take it day to day. I don't do anything that I just feel. I go with feeling each day and try to push my comfort zone a little bit at a time. That's what I've been doing lately. And therapy, yes, I am trying to look for something that would be suitable for me, but I've realized that I have to be very selective with that too, because of the way I just was treated by the last one. So anyway, and something else that can help you. I almost forgot about this. And I've talked about it before. Get out in nature. Even if you're going to the same park, it don't matter where you're going. If you're going out in your yard, going out in the park, same park I go to all the time, walk in the grass, touch the trees, run, get fresh air, sunlight. People will tell you the sun is completely awful for you. I'm not saying you should bake in it, but I'm going to give you an instance here of where it can really help. My eyes were starting to kind of get bad in a way to where I'd had really excellent vision, and people are automatically, I know what they're going to say, well, you're 50 years old. Yes, I am, but this again goes to where people put everything on age, and yes, we age and things happen, but I have not worn my glasses now, and I think it's been about 7 months. I have not wore them at all. Now my vision's still not as good as it was when I was, say, 25 years, 30 years younger, but I haven't needed my glasses, and the reason is the sun. You could take vitamin D pills and get a lot of the effects the sun gives you, but you can't get everything through a vitamin D pill. The sun has the ultra or the red light. I think it's more just the people are doing red light therapy now, but you can do this naturally with the sun where you stare toward it. Don't stare right at it, of course, but stare toward it. Do this often. Do this for periods of time. I've been doing this for a while, and that's why my eyes have improved. I have no other explanation for it. Now, I do semen retention, and that might have something to do with it too, because I retain nutrients in my body, and I've done that for a very long time as well. Retain my my essence inside of me, but sunlight, I think, is mostly what's doing this. Is the red light staring toward it for periods of time, it's hitting your eyes, and it does something with the red light where it improves. And I notice it when I get a real good beat on it. I always see even better and better. So it's just something I keep doing. It's just a hack that I give to you, because people will tell you all kinds of crap. They'll tell you, that the sun's completely bad. And it's just like for years how we heard eggs will cause heart attacks. Eggs are a superfood and have probably more vitamins than just about any food you can eat. These are just examples. But anyway, I'm going to go for now, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.